welcome to this SUPboarder review. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video. We're really excited to bring you the brand new 2021 JP Australia GTS. Testing it out, giving you the feedback on the board as well to see if this board, when it does come out in 2021, if it's going to be right for you. So these boards, they have some really great design features on them. A lot of brands are starting to bring in this design style to their touring ranges. So it's really great to see that a lot of brands are going down toward that route of this design. So we're really keen to bring you all of our insights into this and really give you a great overall review of this new GTS from JP Australia. Now remember, in these videos, we are going to be going through the board, having a look at the fittings, going through the board specifications. Then we're going to be diving into how the board felt on the water, our thoughts and impressions, going through the pros, cons, value for money, and of course at the end, we make sure that we really get to find this board with its preferred rider, because not all boards are going to suit everyone out there. We know that, so we really want to make sure we try and get this board into the right person's hands so they're really going to get the most out of their paddling. So stick around for that at the end. Looking at the specifications on the JP Australia GTS we have here, this is the 12 feet 6 inches long, 29 inches wide, 7 inches thick at 287 litres. Now as this board is in its pre-production run, the weight on the board came in at just over what the JP Australia website says, so we measured it at just over 15 kilograms, but it's going to come in at just under 15 kilograms or around that area. And that equals roughly around 33 pounds. The usage for this board, definitely looking at more faster flat water style touring. And the price for the GTS retails at €1,699. Now that is in the Biax construction, which this board does come in. So we can see that JP Australia, they do have two different constructions with this board. They have the full carbon construction, and also the Biax glass. So the Biax definitely going to be a little bit heavier than the carbon construction, but still going to be nice and strong. We've had this board out, testing it, seems really nice and durable. Checking out the fittings on the JP Australia, starting off with the EVA deck pad we have here. Quite a comfortable crocodile skin deck pad we have where we stand on the board. Moving back from that, we have the diamond pattern deck pad, which is fitted toward the tail of the board. Now, of course, it's logoed up with the JP Australia. It's also got a slight raised bump where those orange dots are toward the tail of the board. Now, that really does help when you are stepping back to really know where your feet are. Moving back up the board here, we have our handle, which is really quite a comfortable handle. It's a rubber, so it is going to flex around when you are gripping onto it, so you do have that fairly comfortable grip. And just in front of that, we have another leashing point as well. Moving up to the deck on the JP Australia GTS, we have bungee cords. Now I really like that we have quite a large bungee area. It is a bit of a sunken deck as well underneath that bungee area, so you can stuff quite a lot of gear into that, which is great for this touring style of board. And in front of that, we have the pressure valve to release air on those hot days. Flipping the board over, on the bottom, fairly straightforward, just that US center fin box. Really going to have nice tracking with this board. We see we have a recessed deck where we do stand. Just means you're a little bit lower to the water, have a little bit lower center of gravity. It's going to give you that stability when you are paddling. It's also good to have this in those touring style boards as well, because it's easier to reach your gear when you are paddling. Looking at the nose shape on the JP Australia, you can see it's a really sharp, pointy nose, which is really going to slice through the water when you are paddling. It means we're going to minimize the drag from the nose of the board. And you can also see with the top of the nose shape, it's a little bit rolled on top. And then also underneath, we have that sharper edge leading back just a little bit longer, which means it is going to help it track and slice through the water with minimal drag. The board stays quite narrow with its outline toward the nose, and then as you get back toward the standing area, it starts to widen up and the rails get a little bit parallel in shape. Now the widest point on this board is definitely behind that standing area, which means the board is just going to be really stable when we do stand back or when we are standing to paddle. Now I'm going to touch on this a little bit later because we really did notice the board was stable. And moving back from that, you can see that holds its width right up until about a foot or maybe half a foot from the tail of the board. Now, it really cuts in toward a really small square tail, but really quite a pinny back end shape. Let's talk about why this board has that design feature, because it's becoming apparent on a few other boards from different brands in this touring space. Now, that wide outline, like we said before, it helps stability, but with that cutout design or with that pulled in tail, it decreases the area of board we have at the back, which means that we are going to get a little bit of a quicker paddling speed, because with more width, with more board at the back, you're going to be having to release more water from the tail, which flows underneath the board. Flipping the board over and having a look at the bottom shape, we have a really rolled bottom shape underneath the nose. Then moving back from that, it stays a little bit rolled until we get to just about our standing area, which then moves into a single concave underneath our feet. That runs all the way through to the fin at the back, and then just after the fin, it's really flat out through the tail. So there is quite a lot happening on the bottom of this board. We have that rolled section under the nose, which means you're just minimizing that drag, like we said before. As we move back to that flat section with the single concave, you're getting a lot of stability out of that. And of course, it's directing that water flow right down through the middle of the board. And what that does is, you can see when it gets to the tail, it really pulls in with the outline shape of the tail. So all that water really funnels into that pin tail, that small square tail, and releases from there. So you're getting quite a fast board underneath, but a really stable one as well. So apart from it looking a bit odd to the eye, you have that narrow nose, really wide tail, and then a little bit of a hip on the tail, it actually does work in the water, which is what we found with this board. So the first thing I did when I jumped on this board, I really wanted to test its stability. So I walked all the way back to the tail, put 2 feet back there just to see how it floated me, how stable it was, and I could stand there all day. It was probably the most stable board I've ever stepped back on, to be honest. That flat bottom shape with that slight single concave, the flat deck shape, the cutout design, I just think that with all of that volume in the tail, all of that width in the tail, it really lends itself to being probably one of the most stable touring boards on the market today. I know it's only 29 inches wide. You get touring boards that are over 30 inches, 32 inches. But if you're really looking for a little bit of a faster performance board still with stability, then I think the GTS really characterizes that in the design features that it has. So I think for those heavier riders, just looking from a stability perspective, this board I think is going to sit really, really well. However, I'm not counting out lighter weight riders as well. We know we've had the guys here at SUPboarder and the girls here as well. They've been riding the board. They really do enjoy paddling it. They just think that maybe in a slightly narrower version, it might be a little bit more of a performance touring board. So if we really wanted to get a bit of speed up, but I mean, that width, it just allows you to have a bit more weight, carry a bit more weight on it. Looking at the conditions that you could take this out in, I really think it's aimed at those really calm, nice mornings, afternoons, evenings, or if you're paddling canals, really narrow rivers, or if it's a calm day on the lake. This is where this board is really going to perform. Taking this board out into a little bit of more choppier conditions, as I was paddling through a bit more of a chop, I would notice the nose pierce through the waves rather than kind of go up and over the peaks and troughs of waves. That's just because of the rocker shape. There's not much lift in the board. It's quite a fairly flat rockered board. So that nose is going to pierce straight through the waves. But as the wave did come up over the nose of the board, the water flushed off from side to side. So that nose shape on top there with that rolled kind of deck means that that water can easily flow away. And especially with gear here, you're not actually getting any water down onto the recessed deck, which of course adds a little bit of weight, but it does flush out once if it does get in there. I must say, do stick around for a SUPboarder Pro video coming out soon with this board in it to really see what conditions you can take it out in. So we'll be really testing it out to really show you what it's capable of. But as I was paddling it, definitely more suited to those flat water conditions. One thing I will highlight with the GTS is that you do need to be on your technique if you are wanting to track in a straight line. Because of the outline shape, how it cuts in at the tail and it's really, really narrow at the nose, if you are leaning on one rail or the other rail, you will start to turn in the opposite direction. Now, how that works is when you are paddling on one side, you're obviously paddling on the right side, but you're going to the left. Same on the left side, you're going to the right. Well, it's similar with the weight distribution. So because of the outline shape of the board, if you lean onto the right rail, the water will flow around this and out toward the left, which means you're going to start turning toward the left. And it's similar vice versa if you're leaning on the other side. So I did really notice that, and there's a clip we're putting over it now that can show you that if you are paddling and leaning on the same side, you're really going to notice that board turning a lot. So adjusting your weight, adjusting your technique a little bit to really have this board track in a straight line, it's going to be that little extra effort for you. But if you are really on your game and you want something that is fast in the water but offers you great touring possibilities, this board is definitely suited for you. So a really great board, looking great, and I really think JP have really stepped up their game into this touring arena, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more boards from JP, especially really boosting that flat water all-round touring downwinding kind of crossover. We know that they do their hybrid shape, which is a fantastic crossover board. They've got their fusions, which you can kind of step down into the surfing range as well. So JP Australia, I think they have such a great range of boards. The GTS slotting in nicely next to their all-water GT, which is really for those bit more open ocean conditions. This one, GTS, definitely suited for those flat water conditions. Taking a look at the pros, cons, value for money, wrapping this board up at the end of the video. Pros of this board, well, I'm going to say it again because I've said it before. The stability is really a highlight for me with the GTS. You could stand anywhere on this board and you still felt really comfortable no matter where you were standing. Again, the bungee cords, I really like you have a bit of space up there to carry a lot of gear. Like I said, with the touring board, you're going to want to be able to carry lots of. I think with the JP Australia, another pro with this board is just that tail design. I really think that that tail design does work. You're getting stability, but a faster board with its width. So 29 inches wide, it goes really narrow in the tail, and you're getting that extra performance, that extra speed of a board that is actually quite wide. Really great to see JP Australia doing that, and I think they just look really nice as well. So JP Australia, really great things you've done with this board. Keep it up. Can't wait to see how you really progress this board into the future. Looking at the cons of this board, I'm going to start off with the bungees. I think there could be an attachment, some extra space here to carry more gear. As a specific flat water touring board, you expect to be able to carry a lot of gear. I think with the volume that it has, if you are a lighter weight rider looking to go on more adventure style paddling, I think it could do with some extra bungees. And I didn't really mention this in the review because I didn't think it needed highlighting, but if you are looking for that little bit more performance out of your board, maybe opting for something that's a little bit narrower might be your best bet. Now, it's not really a con, and I think the cons really cancel each other out. So to be fair, there's not really that much bad about this board. When it comes out in construction, we might see that the weight is a little bit less as well, which would be fantastic. And there might be a few other small tweaks that change on this board, but nothing's going to change from the big design elements that we've covered in the video. Looking at the value for money with this board, and I'd say that you are getting quite good value for money if you are looking at the GTS. It does really have a place in the market for that touring style of board. So if you're someone that's looking for a hard composite board for that touring space, it's fantastic for that. So if you have the space to store it, you are going to get a lot out of the board. It's going to be great value for money. Who is this board going to suit? Well, I've said it quite a lot in this video, but definitely a heavier rider is going to really thrive on this board. You're going to get a little bit of an added performance that maybe a lighter weight rider wouldn't get. And I think that is just down to the volume of the board. So looking at the weight range, if you are that beginner rider, say that's 60 to 100 kilograms, I think this board would be fantastic for you. That is a big weight range, I know, but it is really stable. 29 inches wide, flat bottom, flat deck, wide tail. You are getting lots of stability. So fantastic if you are looking for a board to get into touring, to do that touring kind of adventures, which is really cool. Looking at the more intermediate paddler, if you are someone that is paddling, say, you know, flat water, not too choppy conditions, you weigh in the weight range from 75 kilograms or maybe 80 kilograms to 110, 120 kilograms, this board is really where it's going to suit you, because in that weight range, you're getting the performance benefits. You're also, as a bigger rider, you are really going to be able to handle the board, maneuver it a lot better. With that power in your stroke, you're going to be able to really get the board up to speed a lot quicker. And then, of course, moving up to the advanced riders. Now, advanced riders, you could probably do with something a little bit more narrower in width. With the 29-inch wide, you're probably going to look at something more performance-based, so dropping that width, maybe dropping volume a little bit, something that's going to go a little bit faster if you are in that lighter weight category. But if you are in that heavier weight category, then I think this would be a fantastic board because it's really going to hold that volume. All in all, the JP Australia GTS in the Biax construction was a really fun board to paddle. We're going to be bringing out a SUPboarder Pro video of this against another board that is very, very similar. Now, you may have seen it, you may have not, but make sure you subscribe or head over to SUPboarder Pro in the coming weeks to check out that video. But like I said before, we really enjoyed paddling this board. Such a great board to get out in the water, have fun on. You feel really comfortable on it. It's really easy to paddle. And I think a lot of you out there are going to really move toward this design feature and these touring boards from JP Australia if you are looking to get into the more flat water, longer distance touring space. Thank you so much for watching this SUPboarder review. We really do hope that you got a lot out of it and that you did learn a lot, and we hope that we're really able to fit this board and see if it's going to suit you. Let us know in the comments below any of your questions, happy to answer those, and we really look forward to seeing you on another SUPboarder review really soon.